Welcome. This week we're going to learn Parshas Behar. So Parshas Behar starts with the Parsha of Shemitah. Goes through what you're supposed to do. The Shemitah, leave it. Right, so it tells you the whole Parsha of Shemitah, what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to leave everything fallow. And then, at the end of 7 Shemitahs, then you have Yovel. V'avartem shofar truah b'chodesh hashvi, bas l'chodesh, k'dashtem mishnas ha'chamishim, and that's Yovel. Okay, so we have Shemitah and we have Yovel. Now, the pasuk says like this. Even though you're not planting and you're not reaping, but you'll have food. You'll have food. If you say man noichal b'shana shviyas, you're going to say, what are we going to eat on the 7th year? Hey lo nizra v'lo nesav tu asayni. We didn't plant, we didn't harvest, so what are we going to eat? V'tzivisi as b'chasi lochem b'shana ashishis. I'll give you a big bracha on the 6th year. You're going to triple harvest. And then you plant the Shana Shminis, and you're going to eat to the 9th year. You're going to be able to eat until the 9th year. So Rashi says like this. What are the 3 years of the harvest and of the 6th year? L'ksasa shishis, part of the 6th year. Menisan ad Rosh Hashanah, u'l'shviyas, and for the entire 7th year, u'l'shminas. What does the shminas mean? The beginning of the shminas. She'yizru b'shminas marcheshvan v'yiksru b'nisan. So in the beginning of the you're going to have enough. The beginning of the 8th year. So that's how you have 3 years. Ad Shana Tshiyas, what's the 9th year? Ad Chag HaSukkos Shel Tshiyas, that the Sukkos, the beginning of from the beginning of the 9th year until the following Sukkos, you're going to have, and then you're going to be able to eat from the harvest of the 8th year. But when the harvest of the 6th year is going to go for the part of the 6th year, the 7th year, and the 8th year, the beginning of the 8th year, and also until the beginning of the 9th year. So how does the 9th year come in here? Mefarshim want to know it's like a steer in the 2 Rashis. What has to go to the 9th year? So there's a well-known vart from Noam Elimelech, that he says this in the name of his brother, the Rebbe Zisha. He says that the Torah doesn't have extra words. So why does the Torah say, you're going to say, what are we going to eat? We didn't plant, we didn't harvest. That's where you should start. The Bansham should tell you that in the 6th year, I'm going to give you a triple harvest, and you'll have enough at the end of the 6th year. You have enough at the 7th year. You have enough at the beginning of the 8th year. That's where it should start. Why are you telling us a story? You're going to come and you're going to say, we don't have what to eat. What's going to be? What's the purpose of this? So he says like this. He says that really, what the Bansham tells you to make Shemitah, you should have Bitachon. You should have Bitachon. What are you going to eat? We don't know. The Rebbe Hashem is going to make sure that we're not going to go hungry. Rashi says before, V'chaltem lasoiva, Rashi says, Af b'torach ha'me'ayim tehei boi bracha. You're going to eat kimo, eat a little bit, and that is going to provide you with a lot of nourishment. that's what it's going to be, right? That's good. The Rebbeinu Shalom could make sure that you have what to eat without giving you another harvest. That will provide you sustenance. Why do you have to go and schlep and harvest and everything? The Rebbeinu Shalom will make sure you'll have what to eat. You can sit and learn. You can do whatever you do mitzvahs. Take care of the family, whatever you're going to do. You have to be busy with a harvest. The Rebbeinu Shalom says, don't do a harvest, and you won't be hungry. But you're not going to have bitachon. If you're going to say, what are we going to eat? Then the Rebbeinu Shalom will give you the bracha. In other words, if you're not going to say this, if this is what Rabbi Zisha says, if you're not going to say manoichal, then you won't have a triple bracha. You're just going to you'll have what to eat. You're not going to need it. But if you're going to come along and you're going to say, what are we going to eat? There's nothing to eat. Then the Rebbeinu says, okay, fine. You don't have what to eat. I'll give you a triple harvest on the shishis. So it means that this bracha is not an integral part of Shviyas. The etzem parsha of Shviyas does not have this bracha in it. There's no need for this bracha. This bracha is only needed if you come with a saying, what are we going to eat? You don't have bitachon. Then the Rebbeinu will make a special bracha for you. Otherwise, Shviyas does not entail this bracha. And B'emesin, it's meduik in the psukim. Because the parsha tells you, first it tells you Shviyas, then it tells you the parsha of Yovel, and then it says this tzivisi berchosi. It should have been right at the beginning when it tells you the parsha Shviyas right away. The pasuk should have said that you should make shmita and leave your land fallow, and I'm going to give you a bracha for 3 years. No, it goes on. Okay, shmita's finished. We go on to Yovel, and then after the whole thing is over, then it says v'chisamim manaychos. Remember, this is meduik like this in the seder of the psukim. So why? If you're a Ktani Amona, if you don't have bitachon, why does the Rebbeinu Shalom give you this bracha? So, if a person doesn't have bitachon and he says, if I keep my store closed on Shabbos, so I'm not going to have parnasa. So there's no bracha anywhere that says that you're going to make double the amount of money on Friday. It doesn't say anywhere such a thing. Not in the psukim, not in Chazal. It doesn't say that Friday you'll have double on Friday. Unless you're selling a bakery, then you make double on Friday. But otherwise, you don't make double on Friday. Why not? Because you're supposed to have bitachon. So to have bitachon, close your store for Shabbos. However, that you can demand it from a person. But to tell a person to leave his land fallow for an entire year, that is demanding a lot. So really you should have bitachon. But if you don't have that kind of bitachon, the Rebbeinu Shalom is not going to punish you for that. If you don't have that kind of bitachon, so then the Rebbeinu Shalom says, okay, fine, I'll give you a bracha for 3 years. But the whole point of this bracha of 3 years is because you don't have bitachon. That's why. So the Rebbeinu Shalom says, I'm going to give you tfuah for 3 years. The end of the 6th, the 7th, beginning of the 8th. However, since you don't have bitachon, you will be eating that until the 9th year. You will not allow yourself to eat what you have because you're a person without bitachon. Therefore, you will still have left over. You're not gonna want to eat it. You're going to eat it, but you'll still have enough left over till the beginning of the 9th year because you have no bitachon. That's what he's saying over here. Okay, let's a little bit further in the parsha. So the parsha is talking about your brother becomes poor, becomes impoverished, and he sells himself to you. So he says, don't work very hard with him. Farach, avodas parach, we know from Parshas, avodas parach, backbreaking work. Don't work with them backbreaking work. You're going to say, what's Vireis Molekacha? Rashi explains. But what does Lesir Debay Befarach mean? Rashi says, Lesir Debay Befarach, Melocha Shloile Tzoyrech Kadei La Noisai. You give him jobs that are not needed, just to make it hard for him. Al toimer you don't tell him, chacham li warm up this water for me, and you don't need it. So he goes ahead, he warms up the water, and he brings it to you, and you just leave it there, you don't drink it. That's called avodas parach. Ador tachas hagefen at she'avoy. So Shem toimer in makir b'doverim l'tzarecham lav. How do you know if I need it or not? V'yreisim l'kach, the Rebbeinu Shalom knows. So therefore, you shouldn't definitely serve the by beforach. The Rambam learns a little bit different. Kol evedivri also laved by beforach. Ve'ezi avodas parach. What's considered avodas parach? So avodah she'ein lo kitzva. V'avodah she'ein tzorach lo. Ela shetei machshavtoi. Avodah she'ein lo kitzva. In other words, you give him a job that there's no end. There's no point where the job is finished. V'avodah she'ein tzorach lo. He doesn't need it. Ela shetei machshavtoi lahavidoi. He wants to make him work. Bavad, what's the lavidoi? Bavad, shlo yibatel. The kanon of chacham shlo yomer loy ador tachas gefanim at she'avoy. So not like kitzvah, because you don't know when he's going to come. If he tells him to go work on the vineyard, let's say until you finish your work, that's a kitzvah. But he said until I come, you don't know when he's going to come, so there's no kitzvah. So that's called avodas parach. So the question is, what is the Torah telling you over here? So why are you doing this? You're doing this. I think this is Parshas. But are you doing this because you want to be Messiah him? You want to start up with him? Over here, what's the reason over here? Why does the Torah tell you that you shouldn't do this? So the word parach means to break. Parach means to break. Avodas parach means back-breaking work. But the work that they did in Mitzrayim, avodas parach, that was very hard work. They schlepped stones or whatever they did, and it broke their backs. It was very difficult physical labor. This avodas parach is something else. This avodas parach is because you want to break his spirit. He is a free man, and now he's an eved. So, it says over here also, are you going to say? You're going to say, so who's going to serve me? So it says, you tell me I shouldn't do avodas parach, so Elomi Hashem Sheni, who's going to serve me? So he said, Meis hagoyim heim yuchal avodim. Take those avodim from the goyim. So what do you mean, who's going to serve me? Why can't he serve you? You just don't give him things that are useless. What does it mean, who's going to serve me? No, what he's saying over here is that the person who has an eved wants him to be in servitude. He wants him to be an eved. He should be mevatel himself. He should have completely mevatel himself to the odin. And whatever he tells him, he does, no questions, nothing. And he wants to break his spirit. He's a human being. His spirit is free, so he wants to break his spirit that he should be completely. In other words, when he wants something, he doesn't have a baldavar. When he wants something from his eved, he wants to be automatic, like it's a robot. I need something, I press the button, he does it. So you need that the eved should be the same way. You want him to be automatic. You don't want to have to contend with him. You don't want to talk to him. You don't want him to ask you a question. You don't want anything. I said absolute obedience. That's what I want. So to do that, you have to break his spirit. How do you? That's the beforach. How do you break his spirit? You have him do things which are totally unnecessary. You have him do things that he just doesn't know when he's going to finish. Just continue. These type of things break his spirit. So then he will be a true eved to you. He will do exactly what you want. So he's saying, so you're not allowed to do this. He's a yid. You're not allowed to break his spirit. You can work with him, but you're not loiser than the beforach. You're not allowed to break his spirit. Then you're going to say, so who's going to serve me? What does it mean, who's going to serve me? Who's going to be a true eved to me? I want an eved who's going to really serve me, and like automatic. So that pasuk says, Meis hagoyim. If you want that, get a Neveh Knani. A Neveh Knani, you could make him a true eved. You could break his spirit. You could do whatever you want. You could make him into a true eved that he'll do your beck and call right away, immediately. No questions asked. But to come to a Evedivri, a Yisrael, you cannot break his spirit. That's what the Torah is saying. Now later it says like this: Kisasik yad ger v'toishav imach. A ger, a toishav, is a guy. He's living here. He's a ger toishav. He's really a guy. He's living in Eretz Yisrael. And your brother is going to come poor and sell himself to the ger toishav. So then you have to beguile them. So Rashi says like this. So what does mean imach? What does mean imach? A ger v'toishav becomes wealthy. Imach, with you. Mi gorim lo sheyashir. What? How come this ger toishav became rich? Dibukoy imach, because he was meschaber to Klal Yisrael, so that's what got him to become rich. Umach achicha imai. It says your brother will become poor with him. Mi gorim lo sheyamuch. Why did he become poor? Imai. Dibukoy imai al yedei shlomad mimasav. Because if he became poor, why did he sell himself to the guy? Because obviously before he was already had a shaykhs to this guy. They were buddies or something, and he learned from him, and he did averis. So that's why he became poor, and now he sold himself to the guy. So therefore you have to beguile him. So Rashi is explaining the passage is being like in the psukim machachicha imai. Imai, he became poor because he was associated himself with this guy. So why is over here the pasuk telling you why he became poor? Why doesn't the pasuk ask you before? Why doesn't the pasuk explain? Why did he get poor? Why did he get poor? Or before, why doesn't it say over there also? Why is he poor? It's not a kasha, why is he poor? That's the kasha, the age-old kasha of tzaddik v'raloi, rosh v'toivloi. Sometimes the tzaddikim prosper and the rishayim, the tzaddikim suffer and the rishayim prosper. Sometimes fakert. It's a question. We don't know. We're makabel. The Gemara deals with it. The Sfarim deal with it. But it's the way of the world. Tzaddik could be a tzaddik v'raloi. So maybe this person became poor because he's a tzaddik v'raloi. So we don't have a question why a person becomes poor. If we see a person becomes poor, he becomes poor. That's what happened. You have a question on the Rebbeinu Shalom. Why did he make him poor? You can't ask that question. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. It says psukim mekaheles. You can't ask. This is how it is. This is how the world is. You want to know why? Maybe someday you can go to Mammoth, you'll find out why. Or maybe just there should be bechira. Whatever the reasons are. However, if a yid sells himself to a guy, that is a chilul Hashem. That's a chilul Hashem. So why did the Rebbeinu Shalom make a chilul Hashem? If a yid becomes poor and he sells himself to a yid, that's not a chilul Hashem. It's just a person who fell on hard times. He sold himself to a yid, and that was his fortune that he lost his money, became poor. He sold himself to a yid. There's no chilul Hashem involved in that. It's just the way of the world. But if a yid becomes poor and he sells himself to a guy, that's a chilul Hashem. And then we have a question: why did the Rebbeinu Shalom allow this chilul Hashem to happen? And that's what we say, imai, because he associated himself with the guy, therefore he lamed memaisav, and therefore he sold himself. Thank you very much. I hope to see you again next week.